Hey, everybody, welcome to Yesshift. We've got a fun episode here with a Jon Anderson update because he's kicking it old school. Wait till you hear all of this. But first, let's start out with feedback from a very seminal, pivotal milestone, Yes anniversary.
Yeah, so July 25th was the 52nd anniversary of the very first Yes album. And to commemorate the occasion, I was kind of curious. Like, I made a post where I was like, what are people's favorite songs and which song do you think was the most indicative of the direction the band would go, like as a progressive rock band or something like that? So I posted this in a few prog rock groups. There weren't that many responses, but basically there were two mentions of Beyond and Before, two mentions of I See You. One of those said that I See You is legendary, and two mentions of Looking Around, five mentions of Survival. Someone said they love
That's your
how
favorite.
yeah, it is. And someone said they love how Survival shifts through different moods. Hey, yes, shift. Um, and people also, someone said they loved Yesterday and Today. Someone said they loved Sweetness. And two people said they loved Every Little Thing. No mention of Harold Land from that small sample, weirdly enough, which, I mean, that song I feel goes through different moods as well. So kind of sets the seeds. But yeah, Survival is my favorite off that first album. I think you said yours was Beyond and Before, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, and Harold Land, I think, is and even was back then somewhat of an obscure piece. So that might be why. I mean, even people old enough to have heard this stuff back in the day over the course of the first 4 years of the band's career, I don't think Harold Land, I might be mistaken, but at least in the US, I don't think Harold Land would have been on the radio much.
Right. It's an interesting one. Like, it begins with upbeat organ sounds and stuff, and then it becomes like downbeat, like touching upon like the horrors of war and stuff, and then becomes upbeat again at the
And
end.
who the fuck is Harold again? Remind me.
I think they actually named it after a saxophone player named Harold Land, but in the song, Harold Land is the name of someone who goes off to war. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I know.
Okay. All right, cool. So there you go. How long ago the first album came out is almost mind-boggling. I'm a senior citizen, and I was a little kid when that came out. That's crazy.
Yeah, you would have been like 6 at that time. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Weird. Yep. Just finding my belly button, basically. Hey, at least I didn't say something else. That came a couple years later.
Oh, geez. Moving on. So there's also a bit of Jon Anderson news.
Yeah, big news.
Yeah, so this kind of came without any fanfare. I don't know why this isn't like a huge highlight on his website or on his like social media last I saw, but Change We Must, his solo album from 1994 that had orchestral stuff, is being re-released. Now, Dad, are you familiar with this album or any of the tracks off of it?
I'm a little familiar with it. I'm not familiar with it enough to know coincide a track name with the P's because I didn't have time to review it before we did this. I know you hate that, but but I remember when it came out and I remember listening to it. I remember liking it, but I'm not deep in the weeds with it.
Okay, so at the time, a few of these songs were new, I think, but it also had songs from Jon's solo career and that he did with Yes, like redone with an orchestra, like reinterpreted. So you'd have stuff like, well, I'll just go through the track list real quick. So it starts off with State of Independence, which was originally a John Evangelis song. then Under the Sun, and then Hearts, which is of course a Yes song, Alive and Well, The Kiss, Chagall Duet, Run On John, Candle Song, View from the Capice, I don't know how that's pronounced, Hurry Home, which was originally a John solo song from In the City of Angels, Shaker Loop, and Change We Must, which is of course the title of this, but he also did that with Vangelis for Page of Life, although I think it might have been the re-release of that, or I can't remember if it was on the original of that, but yeah, and this comes with 2 bonus tracks. One is an interview with Jon Anderson. It doesn't say how long it is. And the next is a single edit of Change We Must.
Well, I want to mention, actually, if you look at that track list, to me, here's what's interesting. Especially including it on the re-release, is the fact that a lot of people say that the Trevor Rabin years are not Yes. Yet, Jon is including a song from the Trevor years on this. Probably one of my very, very, very favorite songs from that era, which is Hearts. So I think that's interesting to take note of how he feels about that time period of the band. He wouldn't have given it a nod like that to include it on an album like this, let alone in an orchestrated setting, if it didn't mean a lot to him. And let's face it, there might not be a Yes right now if there were not the Trevor Rabin years, because that was the booster shot. That was the revitalization. That was the return of, that was the comeback. And it's huge. We have to acknowledge that.
Yeah, it's an interesting question because like when the classic lineup reunited in 95, they're like, oh, we made a pact in 1974 that we'd reunite in 95 and take Yes music to the new millennium or whatever. But so like, I don't know if they would have still done that with or without those Rabin years, but Rick Wakeman has said that he thinks 90125 is the most important Yes album because of like all the success that it brought.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. So this is being released by Cherry Red Records, which has been re-releasing other Jon Anderson stuff like Elias of Sun Hillow, Song of Seven, Animation. And this comes out September 3rd, which is just a week before that same label releases Tony Kaye's End of Innocence solo album.
Where's my tea? I lost my tea. Oh well. So what's the purpose? What's the purpose of the re-release? Is it remixed, remastered? Are there other tracks besides the 2 bonus tracks you met? Why re-release it? What's the deal? What's happening? What's going on?
I think it might just be that it's been out of print for a while. So like, why not just re-release it?
Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, that comes out a week before End of Innocence. I'm not sure if I'd get this right away because I've never owned this album, but I've listened to the songs from it.
I would get it because of that. Me personally, I'll get it because I didn't have it, and I love repurposed, orchestrated versions of stuff. Especially if the original artist is involved. Deep Purple did that. Rick Wakeman did that. So I'm very interested in it. There's a beautifully orchestrated album of Led Zeppelin music they didn't have anything to do with, and it's amazing. So I'm very interested in this.
Yeah, I mean, the year before this came out, so it would have been around the time John was working on this. There was that album Symphonic Music of Yes, which Bill and Steve were really involved with, and John was on the song, but it wasn't as grandiose as maybe people hoped, but Change We Must definitely has a huge like presence in my opinion. And so I would like to get this. I'm just not sure how soon I'll get it because like it comes out around the time of End of Innocence, and I for sure do want to get End of Innocence when it comes out.
So let me run something by you, okay?
Yeah.
This is kind of heavy. What if you got both?
I mean, I could.
Is that an option?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna depend on like what I'm feeling around the time and budgetary things. So, but yeah, I
How
do
much could
want,
it possibly be?
so it's 10.95 in British pounds.
Okay, and how much is the other?
Geez, you're putting me on the spot.
You don't have to look. My point is, how much could it be? 30, 40, 50 bucks? Get both.
Right. Okay.
I know where you work.
Yeah, I know. So yeah, that's in the works as far as releases go. But there's also some other Jon stuff happening. Actually, last week there was like this YouTube video that we came across where it's called Jon Anderson with the Paul Green Rock Academy, Heart of the Sunrise.
And I am still losing my mind over this. Folks, I am a deep-hearted, deep-rooted Yes fan through and through, okay? I've got tons of bootlegs. I have bootlegs on 2-track reel to reel. I go back that far. But I got to say something. This version of Heart of the Sunrise might be the best version I've ever heard. It's incredible. Steve will put the link. Steve has put the link to this YouTube video in the description. It's amazing. Kudos to these kids. Kudos to Paul Green. Kudos to Jon Anderson for perpetuating this opportunity for them. It's amazing. It really is. And I love how, slight spoiler alert, how Jon allows for some of the kids to sing some of the lines of the song. There's this trade-off. It's beautiful and it sounds great. I love it. I love it. I love everything about it. But wait, there's more. Which is the tour.
Oh, well, I want to say what I thought of the video.
But... Oh, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Chime in.
Right. So it's a really great video. It shows all of them like doing this, like they've each recorded themselves in their own different places. And so it's like a collage sort of thing, kind of Brady Bunch, I guess. But yeah, if I were like listening to this without watching it, I might have like mistaken it for like the original version that's on Fragile, up until maybe when like the girls are singing, because like it's hard for me to hear the guitar, like the multiple guitarists layered upon each other, like it's thinking that they're all separate. But when the girls are singing along with Jon, it's like, okay, yeah, this is different. There are more people on this. And yeah, it's really cool that they put out this video of Jon playing with these talented teens in preparation for this upcoming tour.
the meanings of the song.
If someone told me that it was a bootleg or a lost recording of Yes with some guest vocalists, I never would have questioned it. It's that good. Folks, if you haven't heard it, check it out. It truly, I'm so impressed. And the production, the sounds of everybody's instruments and everything, it's great. It's marvelous. It really is. I wish there was something I told Stephen earlier. We don't talk about these episodes much before we do them. We really don't. But I did tell him I wish there was something like that for me to be a part of when I was young, 50 years ago when I was that age.
Yeah, like I kind of wonder, like, how familiar are these teens with Jon, and how many of them like found out about him for the first time through the singer and are like, oh, okay, he seems like a cool guy, you know?
The parents got to be, oh my God, you're doing what? You know, I mean, seriously, can you imagine?
Yeah. So the upcoming tour, so on paulgreen.com, it lists some tour dates, and they're all on the East Coast. It looks like there are 11 shows, and they're listed from July 30th to August 28th. What's kind of weird is on the website, it doesn't like hyperlink to like Ticketmaster or anything. If you want to like get the tickets, it's really weird. I don't
That
know
is
what
weird.
that's all about. But yeah, I did look on Ticketmaster and see that a few of the shows are on there. So I guess like you could look up these venues on the site, and if you're on the East Coast and these are near you, you could just like call these venues or whatever and see what's up.
East Coast of the US.
Yeah, right, because we might have listeners not in the US.
That's right.
So yeah, and also we have like this little paragraph that we found on Bondi Gezu, which, you know, many Yes fans are familiar with that site by Henry Potts, where he reports like all the recent and current news regarding Yes and its current and former members. So Dad, you wanted to talk about this little paragraph we found, right?
Yeah, this is really interesting. At first glance, I asked myself, is Jon serious here? And then I realized, oh, he is. And he's still doing magic mushrooms, because it says basically Jon Anderson says, what I suggested for this tour, why don't we do some mashups? You know, we could do Kashnu, Katru, or Kashmir going into Yours Is No Disgrace, or, you know, the song I really like for the groove is Need You Tonight by In Excess. What? In Excess? Okay. We can do that along with Long Distance Runaround. He also said that the kids had sent him some version of The Heart of the Sunrise. He also said we'll probably record every show, hinting at a live release in another July 2021 interview. Jon had talked further about mashups, including Led Zeppelin's Kashmir going into Don't Kill. Hey, I'm sorry, I can't say this with a straight face. It's so freaking off the wall. Jon Anderson saying, yeah, like, so matter of fact, we'll probably go from Led Zeppelin's Kashmir into, I don't know, Don't Kill the Whale. And then he said the set would also include Makes Me Happy, Sweet Dream, Starship Trooper, and Owner of a Lonely Heart. He also said they had been rehearsing Heart of the Sunrise.
Right, as we saw.
First of all, as crazy as this sounds, I give Jon so much credit for being that open to including mashups that are not Yes, and mashups that include pieces that are not even within the same genre, let alone the same universe. A mashup of a Yes song with a Led Zeppelin song is one thing, but a mashup of a Yes song with an In Excess song, it's like, okay, this dude's got an open mind. Hence the mushrooms. I think it's awesome. I can't wait to hear recordings of every night, and if they trickle those out, or if, like you say, they're going to wait and see what they end up with and put a live release a year and a half later. I think this stuff is great. It's a great way to introduce a young generation to so much great music that was not part of the soundtrack of their lives like it was for me, and just by osmosis for you and your generation, probably pretty much in the same way by their parents or grandparents. So I don't know. What do you make of all that, Steve?
So the teens are definitely going to have fun performing with him. But with the idea of the mashups, like they're really cool ideas. I'm just not sure if Jon and company will follow through with it, or if this is just him like wishful thinking and dreaming again. Because Jon's kind of notorious for like saying what he wants to do, and he has like all these grand plans, and then like sometimes they just don't happen. Like for example, when he was talking about possible songs to play back when like Anderson, Rape, and Wakeman were a thing, he was like, "Oh, we could like do Mind Drive, like do a part of Mind Drive, and then go into a piece of new music, and then go back into a part of Mind Drive, or maybe it's like the reverse, like new music, Mind Drive, new music." But then that didn't happen at all.
No, but
And
they did do Mind Drive in the South Side of the Sky into Mind Drive.
well, that was like 35th anniversary tour, not ARW.
Yeah, yeah,
Like
that's true.
this was what Jon was saying about ARW, and like there was like talk of like more material from Talk, and they only ended up playing I Am Waiting. I think that was the only song they played from that album. Like they didn't do Endless Dream or whatever. So like like I said, the mashup idea sounds really cool. I'm just not sure like how serious Jon is, or if this is like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we did this? Like I don't know how prepared for mashups like these they are. But some people may not know that like Jon has been performing with some like with like the Paul Green School of Rock for like this goes back a while. Like I found this playlist from back in like 2007, 2008 videos, and I think Jon's played with them again in like 2014 and 2019. I found a few other videos, but yeah, like I shared this playlist with you, Dad. So like what were like some of the songs that you got to check out, and like what do you think of them? Like what are some highlights?
So, first of all, I was honestly quite taken aback by the extensive catalog. I'm trying to pull up my list in front of me right here. The extensive catalog that they covered is just amazing. And you and I scooted through it, and you and I, amazing. I've seen All Good People, amazing. As tired as I am of that song. Sorry, folks, but if we going for the one, Yours Is No Disgrace was awesome. No Experience, incredible. Like, when's the last time we saw that performed by anybody? South Side of the Sky, one of my favorites.
Yeah. Well, yes, played it a couple years ago, but yeah, like
yeah,
one of deep cut.
Yeah, one of the few tours that I missed since 1978. So just really great performances. I love the young lady being fit in with the electric violin. Multiple musicians on the same instruments is cool. And to just see him, it's kind of like, you know what? The heck with yes, I'm going to do this thing with these kids. And it's amazing. It really, really is. I give everybody involved a ton of credit. The kids, Jon, Paul Green, of course. It's awesome. There should be more of this, really. I love it.
Yeah, like this was toward the end of the hiatus, and like I remember back in the day, like I don't remember if I checked these out like in 2008 or 2009, but like back then it was like having a window into like all these concerts I didn't get to see, and that was a great thing about YouTube, and still is. And like yeah, there are like some deep cuts from these performances. So, like because they had an electric violinist, they could play stuff from Time and a Word, like you
Yeah.
said, No Opportunity Necessary. And I think they also did Oh, they did Clear Days, which is a really deep cut from Kind
Yeah.
of Word. And
And I would also consider America a deep cut too.
right. Yeah, I think Clear Days segued into Give Love Each Day from the Magnification album.
That's
And
deep.
yeah, they even did Magnification, the title song itself. And like in the video, John is like reading off the lyrics sheet as he's singing it. I mean, why not? But like he still like gets the lyrics a bit wrong in a couple places, I guess, when he's like not looking at it. And like his admittedly in that particular video, his voice doesn't sound as up to par for me, but at the same time it's like who cares? It's Jon Anderson. You know,
You
it's
know,
like I think of that like Trevor Horn Fly From Here performance. It's like who cares? It's Trevor Horn, you know?
yeah, I agree. That's one of the songs I did not dip into. I'm gonna check that out. I love that album. Um,
Yeah,
I
they
think
also
if
did they also did a venture from the Yes album. Although John was like trying to remember like was this from the first album or like I guess he forgot.
you know what,
Um
once you're over 70, anything goes. I think you get a lot of slack. You know, what is
yeah,
he,
I think
75, 76?
he is gonna be
76.
77 this year.
That's
But
crazy in October.
but in this era he was about 63, I believe.
Once a peaceful man laid his strong head down by the river, told about his childhood life, his father and forgiver, who couldn't hide away, couldn't hide away. He controlled the horses with a hand clap or a whisper. Drink he couldn't come by blood, he know he was no sinner, couldn't hide away. He couldn't hide away. He told all the sons about the antics of adventure.
But yeah, Adventure, definitely a deep cut. I'm not sure if Yes ever played that live before they did the 3 albums tour in 2013. So definitely a surprise back then.
Yeah. Fans, we'd love for you to dip into this stuff and give us your thoughts. You can comment on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on or whatever video platform you're watching this on, such as Facebook. Steve, what are the channels that we're on, the podcasts?
So we are on Anchor, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Breaker,
Pocket
hang on, give me a
Cast,
moment.
Overcast.
Yeah, Pocket Cast, Overcast, Radio
Breaker?
Public.
Breaker?
Yeah, I mentioned Breaker. Google Podcasts, Castbox. Yeah, like if you just go to anchor.fm/Yesshift, you'll see all the platforms that we're on.
And I just want to emphasize that's Yes Shift.
Yeah, and you can email us at yesshiftpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, give us your questions, comments, suggestions for topics. If you have news you'd like us to share, we'll always credit you. And let's just all be lifelong Yes fans together and perpetuate this legacy as fans.
Yeah, for sure. There's plenty of Yes music to go around for all generations, as we see here.
Absolutely. Anything else, Steve?
No, I think that's about it. Like again, like these performances with those students are like really good. Like not just like despite like the camera or audio quality in some of these, like there's no denying that they're talented. And like this is at an age where like you gotta be like really encouraging with like young people discovering that passion. Like you don't want to put them off. You want to like encourage them to discover like who they are and like what instruments they're into, what music styles are into. And so it's just really cool like back then and now like seeing these young people like dip their toes into like this sort of stuff.
Absolutely. And I think even though the link is in the post, I think we'll load up a few of these to our Facebook page and share them so people can really enjoy them and make sure that they're just more easily accessible because they're marvelous. Plus, it's Jon Anderson. He sounds so good, even though it was a few years ago. He'll always sound good. He's always still very angelic. He still sounds like he did 50 whatever years ago.
Yeah,
I can't say that.
Yeah, plenty of Jon stuff to listen to, like solo and with other people. He collaborates with lots of people. There's lots of stuff to listen to.
Yeah, it's great that he stays so busy. All right. Thanks, everybody. We look forward to hearing from you, and we will see you again soon here on Yesshift Podcast.